Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now of course Evernight did release not that long ago with the first half of version 3.6. Now we are nearly in the second half, but I have not yet done a showcase of her in Memory of Chaos. Part of that being because I was trying to farm the brand new set for her to get her on those pieces so that I could do a proper showcase of her, but I have had terrible relic luck on the brand new set, so unfortunately we're gonna have to go ahead and do a run with a two-piece set. So you know what, that's a shame, and also I would have hoped to maybe get better light con for her, but unfortunately we haven't been able to yet. But anyway, what we're gonna be doing today is we will be doing 2 runs using Evernight. First of all, we'll be trying a Evernight DPS team, and then we'll be going for a Evernight Castorice team, which is probably the best install team for the time being until we get more supports which work with Evernight. So yeah, like I said, starting off DPS Evernight, then moving into support for Castorice. All premium units here are E0S0, but full character builds will be right at the end. With that being said, let's go ahead and just hop into the runs. Alright, well then here we are with our DPS Evernight. We do have 28 cycles remaining because we did manage to get a 2 cycle with our dot team, which I was actually very happy with. But anyway, let's just go ahead and use all of our stuff here. Now, I believe we should be able to clear the first wave pretty damn easy. Now, like I said, Hyacine, not Hyacine, sorry, Evernight's performance here definitely could be improved. Because first of all, I haven't played her that much, so you know, I'm definitely not the best at her gameplay loop yet. And then at the same time, you know, we tried a bit in Apex Shadow Above, and then not that much gameplay. And then also, like I kind of mentioned at the beginning, we don't have her signature relic set yet, so that is a decent damage loss. You know, it's not a huge damage loss, but it's a, you know, sizable enough damage loss to be noting, just so that everyone's clear that that is going on. By the way, I do feel like we should be fine here. And then also, to be fair, we are going up against, I believe it's 11.6 million HP that LYGUS has, which also is not ideal because Evernight is more of an AoE character as opposed to a single target character. Of course, I believe she buffs single target damage with her E1, but then like I said, all premium units here are E0S0. What I will say is that Cyrene is a Remembrance character, and I doubt they're going to bring out 2 Remembrance characters back to back which have DPS capabilities, so I feel like Cyrene will probably fall into full on support, which would mean that technically we could have a replacement for Tribbie, which will give us a full Memo Sprite team, which I think would be great for Evernight's personal damage, personally speaking. Or maybe we'll end up being a RMC replacement. I'll have to go ahead and see. But yeah, and then also if Cyrene were to be a DPS, then it would be kind of weird having 3 DPS Remembrance characters, I feel like. But you know, that's just my personal thoughts. Anyway, we weren't able to 0 cycle this, unfortunately. These guys do still have a sliver of HP left. But on the bright side, we can just go ahead and build up some more stacks. And then this should take them out, I want to say. Yep, nice, easy 239k there. And now, so yeah, that took us 1 cycle there. 0 cycle would have been nice, but oh well, we will just have to go ahead and take it. We don't have our max HP buff, which isn't ideal, although we should be able to get it before we have to use Everlight's ultimate. That might be the first time I've had to yawn during a video. Okay, do I want to use my ultimate now? I might need to, you know, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it, because if I use it now, first of all, I don't want to waste energy, and then also if we use our skill on our Evernight's turn before Evie goes, then we can get quite a bit of Memoria, so this should be a decently big hit. Of course, not as big as it would be if we had our max HP buff, but 424k we will take. That damage number will be going up thanks to LYGUS' permanent damage increase buff, which is, so yeah, when it comes to the LYGUS boss, I actually kind of like how he's balanced, where you know, you probably won't be 0 cycling him, but then the longer and longer you take, the easier and easier he does get. I do actually quite like that design. But then, of course, you know, if you get one shot by his big hit, then that's also not ideal. But in a room which has so much sustain like this, you know, a dot team very good against him. Any of the Castorice or Everlight teams. Why am I yawning so much right now? Oh my god, this has never happened to me. I don't know what's going on. I woke up with a cough, and then during the... You'd think I'd be more yawning during the morning and then coughing during the day. No, it's the other way around. I'm coughing during the morning and then yawning during the day. Okay, nice, a big hit there, but that's mostly because we are in AoE. Like I said, Evernight is very strong into AoE, but then when it comes to dealing damage to just LYGUS himself and not the enemies around him, it's slightly worse, so we will definitely have to rely on the damage increase that he does give to himself. But like I said, shouldn't be too much of a problem. I am fairly confident in this run. You know, it might not be the quickest, but we definitely should be able to clear. I also don't see us having any sustained issues whatsoever here either. But yeah, also one thing I need to say is I still have not gotten around to the 3.6 story with university starting up again. I've just been a bit too busy there as well. But luckily we do have quite a bit of content lined up for the next week and a bit, I'd say. Every other day I'm hoping for, so you know, I know did take a little bit of a backseat as I was just getting used to university again, but I think we should be chilling now for the time being until assignments start cropping up again, which will not be fun. But anyway, let's go ahead and use our ultimate here. I don't think that's a misplay, but I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. A nice 523k there into single target. LYGUS has 2 stacks of his damage increase, so this will be 100% damage multiplier, so he's basically taking double the damage he normally would. But yeah, like I said, I do like the balance between the max HP but then the permanent damage increase, because it does mean that zero cycling him will be worse. And you know, I personally, as someone who is very unlucky to get a zero cycle using only EVERNIGHT units, I do not mind zero cycling being hard, if I'm being entirely honest. Although I do know that Finon is very good for him because he can activate Finon's ultimate again. So if you are running a Sustainless Finon with Saridra, then he will probably just destroy LYGUS. During my first clear, I actually used Finon on the first half stupidly and then Dot on the second half. Definitely should have flipped those teams around. I probably could have gotten a quicker clear. Although we did clear in 6 cycles there, so you know, 4 cycles remaining is still a very good clear. Although maybe we possibly could have gone 5, maybe even 4 cycle clear if we got lucky. You know, if we got 2 cycles on the Dot half and then maybe 2 cycles with Finon. Although at the same time, maybe that's a bit too ambitious. Oh my god, this is annoying me at this point. But okay, now we have nearly dealt half of LYGUS's HP bar. He will soon be at 200% damage vulnerability. It would be nice if we could have gotten rid of his summon so that he could take all of the damage from the memory turbulence. You know, I love bounce attacks when they're just doing damage to a single target, which is why Anexa is just one of my favorite characters to have released in version 3. You know, when I first saw his design, I knew I would like him, but I don't think I'd like him as much. Honestly, when I first saw Anexa, I thought he was going to be a Nihility support for Acheron. I'm not gonna lie, I did not think that would end up being Cypher, but oh well. Okay, we will definitely go ahead and live this. Yep, it doesn't even do half of our HP bar. Insane. Like I said, absolutely love to sustain in these HP teams, or HP scaling teams. I am very glad that HP scale, you know, Blade, we were waiting so long for HP supports, although technically Hyacine's the only HP support, but then Tribbie was such a good support for him, and so is Sunday, that Blade actually feels good to play nowadays, and he got buffs, although I still have not gotten his E1. Instead, I have lost my 50/50s to Japard, Fushuen, and who was the other one? Japard, Fushuen, and Bailu. Of course, how could I forget losing my 50/50 to Bailu? So yeah, definitely do want to go ahead and get that E1 Bladey someday. Anyway, if we remember, we were at 28 cycles. We're moving on to the 24th cycle, so we are moving into a 4th cycle right now. I think we might be able to clear in 4 cycles. Call me deluded, although I definitely think it's on the cards. We can go ahead and use our skill here on our Evernight, and then, okay, a nice, okay, if we, actually never mind, we're not going to need to use our skill on our RMC. Mem will just go here and action forward our Evernight soon, because LYGUS did just activate our ultimates. Let's just go ahead and use the Tribbie ult and then refresh her skill as well. Basically acts as a turn extension for her buffs, very nice for us. And now we can go ahead and skill on our Evernight, 41 stacks of Memoria. Go ahead and use the big jellyfish attack for a nice 1.7 million damage. 10% HP left on LYGUS. Love to see that. We are now in the 24th cycle, so I think we should be finishing this here. I mean, almost certainly, you would imagine, surely, right? 6% HP left. Okay, we can go ahead and use our Evernight's ult as well. And let's see, 2% HP left. If this kills anyone, I will be very shocked. Of course it doesn't. And now we should be able to go... okay, now we go ahead and finish it with a nice fancy Evernight attack. I do love her animations, that is one thing for certain. And we end up clearing in the 24th cycle. So yeah, that's a 4-cycle clear from our Evernight. Considering her teams aren't complete yet, we will definitely go ahead and take that. But with that being said, let's go check out how good the Castorice teams are. Alright, and here we are once again on the second half, this time using Castorice and Evernight together. This time we got a 27 cycle using our dot team. I should clarify, because I'm lazy, I just go ahead auto battled and then whilst I was scrolling my phone the entire time. So yeah, I was not in charge of those dot runs, which actually makes the 2-cycle auto battle dot run even more impressive in my mind. But anyway, let's just go ahead and use up all of our ultimates here. Hopefully we can get a Tribbie ult off before Evernight or Castorice use any of their big hits, but we'll have to just go ahead and see there. Okay, never mind, we're gonna have to go ahead and use our Evernight ult here, most likely, and then, okay, nice 152k there, and now Tribbie actually gets our ultimate up, so you know what, let's just go ahead and activate this before we deal what should be our biggest hit in Evernight's kit, at least to my knowledge. A nice 200k there, and now we can go ahead and spawn in our Neverwing. Now having Tribbie here is pretty important because Tribbie is good in buffing dual DPSs. Also, these are our stats right now on our Neverwing, 100 crit to 332 crit damage. But yeah, having Tribbie here is important because she's very good at buffing dual DPS. Nice 510k there. And then second of all, she's also useful because LYGUS is not weak to Quantum, so the fact that we so the all-type res pen there will be very useful. Nice 384k there, of course, as well on our Evernight. Now, of course, she's not going to be hitting as hard as the hypercarry team's true damage and crit damage from RMC, as well as the fact that it's just very nice for her. So, yeah. But still, it's looking like we might be able to zero-cycle the first off. If we get a Neverwing, this should definitely be a zero-cycle, I would imagine. If not, I'd be very, very shocked. Okay, yeah, definitely we should be able to get it off of this Hyacine skill. We can just go ahead and ult as well, and maybe even we might be able to get a second. No, we won't be able to get a second one, I don't think. It would be kind of crazy if we did. Anyway, okay, Ika nearly took these guys out, which is kind of funny. So these guys are actually going to go ahead and die before we can do our big hit on Neverwing. Luckily, we can just go ahead and finish off LYGUS with this as well. And there we go, perfect. So yeah, we did manage to actually zero-cycle the first off now, which is very nice. That will probably spare us a cycle, I would like to imagine. Okay, goes ahead and hits our Castorice. We can go ahead and cleanse that with Hyacine. Gosh, I just love Hyacine. She is probably the comfiest healer in the entire game. Sure, she's not that skill point friendly, but even then, you don't need to use her skill most of the time. I feel like. Also, one thing about Evernight, her new butt generation for Castorice is just very nice. You know, she has nice personal damage, nice buffs, and then also definitely better new butt generation than RMC, at least in my mind. Okay, that's nice of our buddy LYGUS to death for us. I can never decide whether to call him Xander or LYGUS. I just always end up going for LYGUS. It's the one we're more used to. We do end up doing an enhanced skill here on our cast. Does a nice 320k. Then we can go ahead and use Neverwing for a nice, definitely more than 320k. Possibly a million? Never mind, 900k. But we do get to use our ult once again on Castorice, thanks to LYGUS basically just giving it to us, which is kind of silly of him, just making sure we refresh all of our Tribbie buffs to make sure we're not missing out on anything, and then we can just go straight ahead into another Neverwing. I'm guessing this will be 890k. Oh my god. Okay, spot on. Go me, I suppose. That is a nice ultimate for our Evernight as well. Now the question is, do I want to use it right now, or do I want to wait for her turn? You know, I'm just gonna wait for her turn, why not? Make sure nothing spawns in before us, so we can go ahead and use it on her turn, and then we can go ahead and skill as well, and that should give us, I want to say, about 32 Memoria, 41 Memoria. Okay then, so this should be a nice hit here. Let's 373k into single target LYGUS, into dual DPS. Definitely will take that. And then let's see, what about our Neverwing? I'm gonna guess about 400k, and never mind, 590k. Definitely feeling the effects of that 100% multiplier here, and also Memory Turbulence absolutely shreds him there, which is nice because he was the only one on the field. Castorice gets her ultimate back as well. How nice of LYGUS. Actually, both of our damage dealers do, which is very polite of him. I'm just going to go ahead and use Castorice's first. We spawn in our Neverwing, then we can go ahead and use our Evernight one as well. 519k, we'll take that. Also, we just check our stats? 100 to 281, or 100 to... Okay, never mind. You know, I'm getting lost because there is just so much clicking I have to do. So, okay, now we have basically 100 to 400 on our EV, and then 100 to 335 on our thingy. That looks more accurate to me. Nice 873k, and now Neverwing goes and deals over a million, that's for sure. How much exactly? 100 or 1.3 million was that? 1.8 million? I did not see properly. Whoopsies. Anyway, we just heal right back up all the damage that was dealt to us. We still have a skill to use, I believe, as well. Yep, so we are actually very close to another Neverwing at this point as well. And then Hyacine will be going right back again, so we should be chilling here. Okay, the enemies want to hit us some more as well. Okay, we will be getting another Neverwing off this. How nice of all the enemies. 204k there, nice. And now let's just go ahead and use our attack here, and this will be another 1.3 million. And now LYGUS changes forms again, so he'll be taking more damage again. Castorice gets CC'd, but we just go ahead and cleanse that right back up. We can use our ult as well on our Hyacine technically if we need the extra new build, or if we think we're going to be close enough, we'll see. Just go ahead and do this big hit. Okay, 72%, 76%. Okay, we can go ahead and just wait to use it on her turn as well, so that we can get the little turn extension. Actually, you know what? No, I don't want to do that, because I want to use it right away here, so that if we go ahead and use our Neverwing now, to maximize our new build generation, we can then use Hyacine right after our Neverwing. This is also now a even bigger damage increase. Never mind, because he advanced forwarded our Hyacine, that ruins my plan. Why couldn't he have just done it to Castorice instead? Because then we could have gotten back-to-back Neverwings. I feel if we got back-to-back Neverwings, do we one cycle him? Because we're on 27. This is the 26th cycle. What? Oh, we might have one cycled with if he gave us another Neverwing. It's a possibility, although I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Okay, no, I don't think so. No, never mind. We would not have. Okay, he already switches forms again. What the? Okay, don't know what's going on there. I guess we'll take it, I suppose. Although I think he just dies to the memory turbulence here. Yeah. Okay, so we end up getting a 2 cycle here, which is actually very, very impressive and very, very quick. I feel like it could have been a 1 cycle. I think if we got a bit luckier with the characters he was giving the ultimates to, if we had a proper Evernight build as well, and then, yeah, this 2 cycles definitely will take, won't complain, but 1 cycle was definitely on the cards, and let's just say this team is very, very strong. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the character builds as well as the outro. Well then, as you can see, our E0S0 Evernight of course carried more than her own weight. In the DPS team, we managed to get a 4 cycle, which I am happy with, considering the fact that, like I said, she's our main damage dealer, but she is the worst build character on that team, so maybe could have seen it be even a cycle faster. It's also not her best case scenario. And then on top of that, we also don't have her full best installed team yet, most likely. That will probably end up coming next version. And then when it comes to the Evernight Castorice team, the fact that we got a 2 cycle, and it could have maybe even been a 1 cycle, is absolutely insane. So yeah, the Evernight Castorice team is very strong at the current moment. But real quick, when we go ahead and take a look at our character builds, starting off with our Castorice 80% crit rate, 70% crit damage, 7% crit rate, which becomes 102%, 174 crit damage, which for our Neverwing will end up being over 300. Night on the Milky Way, because it is our highest base HP light cone. Traces for your maxed out, relics as well. We are on the Poet set as well as the Bone set, of course, just trying to make sure we don't overcap on crit rate too much, and then getting as much HP and crit damage as we can. For our RMC on our Evernight team, 255 crit damage, 166 speed as well, bit of ERR as well, and then also the Victory in a Blink light cone as well. Traces, Memo Sprite skills maxed out. Other than that, it's mostly maxed out, at least when it comes to the important stuff. 2p speed, so that we can go ahead and get that 160 threshold as well. And then Penacony as well, not really that useful on this team if I'm being honest. Actually no, wait, Penacony actually is useful for Evernight in her main DPS team. Actually, I messed up there. Basically, kind of base speed on our Evernight, 62.5% crit rate in her DPS team. This is enough to hit 100% crit rate in the non-DPS teams. This is a bit just under 100%, but it shouldn't really matter in the end. 7.2k HP, 174 crit damage. As we saw, it becomes about 400% even in the non-DPS teams, and then over 400% when we used RMC. Secret Valve, because it's our highest base HP Lightcon, which is not currently in use, which is a bit embarrassing to say. If we do get the Remembrance Gaussian Lightcon or another high base HP Lightcon, that will be very useful for us. Traces maxed out, and then 2-piece ice damage and 2-piece HP percent. I don't want to talk about it. Like I said, our pieces are absolutely trash other than these. And then we are also on the Bone Collector set, of course. And then Eidolon's E0, like I said. And then Hyacine, 5k HP, 201 speed, nearly 100% crit damage as well. On the S5 Hertastore Lightcon, Traces basically fully maxed out Warrior Goddess sets, prioritizing speed as well as HP percent. And then after that, crit damage after we got the 5k HP as well as 200 speed. And then Giant Tree on HP and energy. And then Eidolon's E0. And then finally our Tribbie, 5.5k HP. Poet set, so becomes basically like 70-ish crit rate, and then over 200 crit damage thanks to the Bone Collector set. S5 dance, of course. Traces maxed out, then relics, leftover pieces from all of our HP scalers, and then finally Eidolon's E0, so no E1 Tribbie shenanigans here. But yeah, that's it from me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Very happy with how these runs went. Let me know how your runs went, how you're finding Evernight. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. See ya.